break till 11:10. He's picked up something. 11:10. Pardon? Simon. The next one. Welcome, Simon, if you're here. You are. And then we'll have a break from 11 till 11:15. Thanks, Mel.
I've got a copy of some notes. Can I hand them out?
We'll get someone to do it for you, Simon. Tyler Megan will do it. Morena.
Morena, how's it going?
Very well, thanks. Really good. Really interesting. Great.
So to start?
Yes, please.
So I know some of you, my name's Simon Kingham. For those that don't know, I'll just introduce myself. I'm a professor of geography at the university, so I teach research on transport and urban issues. I'm also seconded 2 days a week to the Ministry of Transport as their Chief Science Advisor, and my job there, so don't blame me when it goes wrong, is to try and ensure that policy that goes up to the Minister is based on evidence. Doesn't mean it always is. When it's not my fault. When it is, I'll take full responsibility.
Good one.
You've already obviously read my submissions. I'm just going to summarise the key points of it and just emphasise a few more. To me, speed reduction is, I call it the most obvious no-brainer policy. There is so much compelling evidence, and to me it's actually about 30 kilometres an hour. 40 kilometres, you get some benefits, but really for residential streets we should be going to 30. Firstly, significantly reduces the risk of death. Tons of evidence that says that, and actually you get the real benefits when you get to 30, not 40. So there's a real steep curve, and I think I put that in my submission. Similarly, reduces the risk of serious injury. Again, you get those benefits at 30, not really at 40. It reduces health inequalities. A very eminent professor in the UK said the one thing that could reduce health inequalities, he said reduce traffic speeds, in his case 20 miles per hour. Saves fuel because it smooths out journeys. So it stops all the stopping and starting. Reduces air pollution. We know now that 2,000 people a year are dying from nitrogen dioxide pollution. And we know from research that actually it's 20 k's is where 20 k speed limit is where you get the lowest rates of nitrogen dioxide emissions. And I can explain why if you want. Reduces greenhouse gas emissions, again, 30 k's, speed limits is shown to be that. Reduces noise, encourages walking and cycling because people feel safe, and the previous speaker just emphasised this. It's about perception. It's about making people feel safe, and slower speeds are part of that. We are, unfortunately, one of the world leaders in obesity rates, and so anything more we can do to get people walking and cycling is good. Can also encourage PT because you don't slow public transport down because it's already going at those speeds a lot of the time, so relatively public transport seems faster. Enhances mental health because we know there are noise, pollution, the fact that more walking and cycling is good for mental health. Strengthens communities, slower speeds, encourage kids to play on the streets, they encourage people to go out and bump into each other, people get to know their neighbours. And actually the research is clear, it doesn't actually cost significant time. So even Wakikatahi's own research shows that slower speed limits don't add much time onto journeys. So the perception is that it's going to really slow people down. It doesn't. In the UK, there's a big campaign called 20 is Plenty. There's now 28 million people in the UK living in areas with proposed or actual speed limits of 20 miles per hour. So this is what we're talking about. Reducing speed limits is not novel globally. It's really, really common in other parts of the world. In 2020, the General Assembly of the United Nations signed the Stockholm Declaration saying that there should be 20 mile per hour, 30 kilometre per hour speed limits in areas where vulnerable road users and vehicles mix. So in communities where people live on residential streets, I want to strongly advocate for speed limits of 30 kilometres an hour. And I notice in the plan, most of it is, not all, but I think we should be pushing for 30k in all of them.
Thank you. Got time for any questions? Is there any questions of Simon? Yanni.
Thank you, and appreciate the work that you do. I don't know if you've managed to read all the submissions. We've obviously got a lot, but
yeah.
There was one from the fire service, which was quite concerning.
I did look at that. Can I comment on that?
Yeah.
I noticed that their point was that they can only go a percentage above the speed limit. Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, to me, that is just, we should just be changing that rule to allow them to go. If that's the speed limit, if that's the rule, we're not actually trying to stop them going faster when they need to get places. But that just sounds like a minor rule that should be changed, right?
Yeah.
Sorry? I'll do what I can, because that sounds like that shouldn't be a reason to stop it. Secondly, I'm talking about residential streets. I think at most residential streets, we're not talking about the main connector routes. We're talking about residential streets, and I don't think it's going to add much onto those journey times anyway. But because they're still going to go whizzing down the fast roads.
Yeah, so I
when
think
they get to the
staff have
small
got a
ones, go
note of
slower.
that. And just quickly, Jake,
Yeah.
here's a question. We've got 20 seconds left, Jake.
Yep. So, Simon, am I right in thinking that really, it's often debated around this table that that this lower speeds will increase emissions and also slow down journey times? But what you're saying is over the whole journey, if you were to think about it in a waveform, it flattens out the variance of the waveform, but doesn't increase it overall. Does that make sense? And am I correct?
And that's the research. I put the reference in my submission. You're averaging, you're stopping people accelerating and braking, accelerating. And so the research says 30-kilometre speed limits minimise emissions. And because of that, you're right, actually journey times don't increase much because you're just stopping people stopping and starting and braking and accelerating.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you, Simon.
And let me know if I can help with that other thing.
Yep,
Yeah,
we will do.
good question. Yeah, I'll do what I can. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Simon. Nice to see you. So we'll have a break till 11:15. If people could come back promptly, it would be appreciated.